The legacy of the Immaculate Reception, the dramatic touchdown play by Steelers running back Franco Harris 40 years ago today, had its memory tarnished to an extent by a Steelers offense that could not perform when it needed to the way that it had 40 years ago. I'm Neal Coolong with Behind the Steel Curtain. While that season was extended on Franco Harris's heroics, this one was ended largely due to an ineffective offense that could not move the ball and turn the ball over again in critical situations. This has been the MO of the Steelers team all season, and a season that not only could end in a losing year, but ultimately will keep the Steelers out of the playoffs for the first time since 2010. What's worse is the Steelers offense prevented themselves from capitalizing on one of the best defensive performances the team has seen all season and possibly since its Super Bowl run in 2010. It had two Defensive Player of the Year candidate worthy performances, one from cornerback Cortez Allen, who had 2 interceptions along with forced fumble. One of those interceptions, as it was tipped out of bounds by cornerback Josh Victorian, has to be one of the most dramatic plays in team history. Even for a regular season game, the effort that this defense put out was epitomized by Allen and Victorian on this play as a defense that could do absolutely everything it could to help its team win. In the end, it was not enough as Ben Roethlisberger threw his second late-game interception in 2 weeks that ended up leading to a field goal that ended the game for the Steelers. The Steelers have lost 3 games in a row now, with Roethlisberger coming back from an injury in Week 14. The offense has not found any kind of rhythm or chemistry amongst each other, leading to questions about changes in this offseason. What kinds of changes are we talking about? It's going to be up in the air, but the fact is this offense did not perform in any way, shape, or form down the stretch in losing at least 5 games out of their last 6. This could end up being the first losing season under Mike Tomlin as the Steelers head coach, who took over in 2007. The last time the Steelers played into a Week 17 game without anything on the line was in 2006, incidentally Bill Cowher's last game as head coach of the Steelers. The Steelers defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime in that game when Ben Roethlisberger was able to hit Santonio Holmes on a short hitch that he took 50 yards for the touchdown in overtime. The Steelers had no such magic of this sort tonight as they were completely unable to move the ball in the second half, despite several opportunities given to them by a defense that forced 3 turnovers and had 6 sacks, by far and away its biggest splash play performance of this season. The Steelers now limp into Week 17 against Cleveland Browns in a game that essentially doesn't mean anything but draft position. Now, this is a team that certainly needs to upgrade through the draft, but personnel that's currently on the roster needs to be a top priority heading into this week. Who's going to play, who isn't going to play. It wouldn't be surprising to see the Steelers bench a few veterans, especially ones who had played this entire time. Tight end Heath Miller was carted off the field by a trainer and Brett Kiesel in this game with an apparent knee injury. Doesn't look good for Miller, and you can almost guarantee that he won't be playing next week in the meaningless game. Isaac Redmond was injured in this game. Keenan Lewis gutted his way out at cornerback against A.J. Green, despite still suffering from a hip injury that's been hampering him over the last few weeks. The fact of the matter is the Steelers' defense played heroically in this game, and it certainly caps off an outstanding year for them after a pretty slow start. The offense, on the other hand, started off playing well and completely fell apart down the stretch. An even 8-8 record explains pretty well overall the inconsistency that this team has had from start to finish, and it's not really a surprise, certainly judging by the way this team has played the last 5 weeks, they will not play in the postseason. For Behind the Steel Curtain, I'm Neal Coolong.